Teaching or research-focused university? Should you switch? Now, the following question was posted in my comments section, and I thought before I respond to it, which might take me quite a while, I use this as an opportunity to make a short video on this issue, because I think it might affect quite a few people, in particular in the UK context. Now, the following question was posted. Do you think it is a good idea to move from a senior lecturer at a teaching-focused university to a lecturer at a research-focused Russell Group university? Now, this contains several sub-questions in my view. First of all, we have to think teaching compared to research-focused institution. Then, of course, the issue is, what about your title? So moving from a senior lectureship to a lectureship looks like a demotion. So should you do this? Put differently, do titles matter? And then there are quite a few more complex related issues around pay, working conditions and pensions. In this video, I will talk about these issues and provide a bit of guidance, also based on my own experience. Research or teaching focused university. So there is the so-called Russell Group. The Russell Group is a group of 24 large research intense universities in the UK. Now, this group is a self-selected group of institutions. There is no particular benefits as an employee that you get from being a part of the Russell Group. It's more a political force in a way. It's a lobbying group. It does not really do much in terms of your everyday life, but it certainly sets the bar when it comes to expectation. In terms of structure, the standard approach would be, as a lecturer, to have a contract that contains a 3-year probationary period. And the focus will be quite a lot on research. So usually you would expect to deliver research output. In a business school context, one would expect about at least 2 papers in ABS 3-star journals. Please leave a comment if you have any questions about these requirements. In terms of ranks, traditionally you have a lecturer, then a senior lecturer, then a reader and a professor. However, a few institutions moved to a US-style system, but it's kind of weird because in the UK you don't have tenure. So it's a kind of an odd thing to do. So they use assistant, associate and full professor. Then there are the teaching-focused universities. They're also called the post-1992 universities. They tend to be former polytechnics or so-called central institutions that later became universities. So here the focus is indeed more on teaching. However, they have changed quite a bit over time. In these institutions, the normal procedure would be, as a lecturer, to only have a 1-year probation. And the focus is much more on the teaching and administrative duties, but of course research also matters. But the focus would be less on very strict output criteria. In terms of ranks, it tends to be lecturer, senior lecturer, and then principal lecturer or reader and professor. So this is true for most institutions. Nowadays you also see an odd mixed system where you have lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor and professor. In terms of working in a research or teaching focused institution, it's not so straightforward to say which one is really better, because there is a huge variety in terms of how these institutions function. So in my case, when I came to the UK, I had no clue about the system, to be honest. I accepted an offer from the University of the West of England, or UI in short. And honestly, it is based on all the stuff we discussed, a teaching-focused university, a former polytechnic. But I have to be honest, UI was by far, and no offense, the best institution I worked for. They really took care of staff and students. One has to really say that. The quality of teaching was really good. Of course, my teaching load was a lot higher compared to other appointments, but I actually liked it. I have to be honest, it was a good experience. When I moved to Southampton, now this is Russell Group, much more focused on research, but of course here the focus is on the outputs. Now the next thing, of course, is pay, working conditions and pensions. A senior lectureship in a new university is not a senior lectureship in an old university because the pay scales, they don't match. In the end, if you move between institutions, they look at the pay scale. So they look at your current pay and they move you to their own pay scale. And then it depends exactly on where you sit on that particular scale. To be precise, you can move from a senior lectureship to a lectureship and still get more money. Do not focus on titles. I always say you can call me whatever you want. You can call me data nerd, you can call me whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as you pay me. That's important. So for me, pay and working conditions, this is actually that, the stuff that really matters. I don't care about, titles. But of course, many people do. And of course, institutions know that people do. And so they invent more and more nice titles that mean virtually nothing at all. So everyone becomes a director or whatever. Now, I already mentioned probation. That's a big difference. And honestly, my 1-year probation at UI was totally straightforward. Yeah, easy process, focused more on the teaching side. Yes, you also had to demonstrate that you do some research, but less output focused. In terms of work-life balance, I think in the end that also really should be considered. I know academics don't care much about it. For them it's basically a lifestyle, it's not a job. I think long-term, much better, you develop a more healthy relationship and you also have some downtime and you can recover. It's quite important. If you go to a Russell Group University, you will be in the USS pension scheme. We just defended our pensions after a lengthy strike, but it's very likely they will be cut in future again. TPS, so this is the Teachers' Pension Scheme, is used in new universities. And it is an awful lot better. I was part of TPS. I moved into USS, which was a big mistake. So don't do that. TPS has much better benefits. So nowadays, the difference is very significant. And most importantly, TPS is also applied to teachers in school. So put differently, if there is a strike, people care. If university lecturers go on strike, nobody really cares. But if your kids are running around you the whole day and you can't go to work, then it becomes a political issue. So the pension scheme is a lot better. Think about it. Yeah, so it's not straightforward. So I wish you all the best in your decision making. I hope this was helpful and I'll see you next time.